Suspense. Our distinguished cast tonight are 10 of DMV Theatre Community's masters of the art of suspense. They are here to play remarkable characters created by England's noted thriller author, Agatha Christie. A mild-mannered character whose initials were ABC, and about whom revolved a series of savage murders, all neatly and alphabetically arranged. ABC was stamped upon all their belongings, those being their rightful initials. And ABC was stamped, too, upon the large railway timetable they always carried. But there was nothing so odd about that detail, since no traveler in the British Isles would dream of planning a journey without consulting this famous railway schedule, the ABC. And so, with the ABC Murders by Agatha Christie, written for radio by Robert Tallman and William Spear, and with the performance of the Greenbelt Arts Center radio cast, we hope to keep you in suspense. When the time for closing bell rang in the public library, Alexander Bonaparte Cust started, picked up his battered briefcase with the almost faded initials ABC, closed the book he had been reading, and shuffled over to the librarian's desk.
It's a most interesting book, Librarian. I should like to come back sometime and read another chapter of it, if I may.
You will be here whenever you return, sir. Yes, Mr. Clark. Can I help you, sir?
No hurry.
Well, I'll be going along now. Thank you.
Rum little chap, that. What do you think he was reading?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Studies in Epileptic Somnambulism.
Medical stuff, eh? Oh, I say, the little fellow left his briefcase. I'll catch him at the door.
Dear, I hope you catch him.
Clark hurries out of the library front doors and scurries down the long flight of stone stairs of the library, calling after ABC, who is about to turn the corner and be out of sight, and catched up to him almost out of breath.
Sir! Sir! You left your... I say, sir! Just a moment! You left something!
Oh, dear, it's my briefcase. I'm terribly sorry. I seem to be getting more and more forgetful lately. Why, the other day, I left it on the counter in a tobacco shop.
Lucky you have those initials. Not many people with the initials ABC. Sticks in your mind.
What do you mean by that, sir?
Well, after all, they are the first 3 letters of the alphabet. Practically the first thing we learn, you know? Isn't it? Our ABCs?
Don't mention those letters to me. They've brought bad luck to me in more ways than one.
Well, I'm sorry, old chap. Really, how's that?
Well, I used to be a travelling salesman, and I used to carry one of those railway timetables in my pocket. The kind in which they list the towns and all the railroads alphabetically.
Oh, of course. Printed right on the cover, isn't it? ABC.
Yes, that's right. Well, stockings was my line. I did door-to-door selling. Whenever I finished one town, out would come that timetable, and I would look up the next stop on my route. I got sick of the sight of it. ABC Railway Guide. I tell you, sir, it was like a symbol of failure to me. One dingy little town after another, all listed in that railway guide with ABC printed on the cover. My own initials staring out at me from every newsstand and every little dirty railroad station in the Midlands.
Oh, come on. It couldn't have been as bad as all that.
Matter of fact, I never noticed it till I began to get the headaches.
Oh, you suffer from headaches?
Yes.
Have you seen a doctor about it?
Oh, no. Wouldn't want to see a doctor about it. I already know what brings them on.
Really? If you'd rather not talk about it...
Oh, no, it isn't all that, sir. It was just a long time ago. During the last war, in fact. Chateau Thierry.
Chateau Theory. Oh, I see. What a coincidence. I was in the thick of that myself.
Were you, sir?
Yes, we must get together for a drink one day. Talk over old times. Franklin Clark is my name.
Oh, I'm pleased to meet you, Mr. Clark. My name's Cust. Alexander Bonaparte Cust.
Oh, they must have expected great things of you, giving you a name like that.
I'm afraid they did, Mr. Clark, yes. Oh, I'm very much afraid they did.
Oh, excuse me. Now, let's catch up here. We are now transported of home of Alexander Bonaparte Cust. A little bit of an unexpected walk down memory lane, and then what will happen next?
Mr. Cust? Oh, Mr. Cust.
Who is it?
It's me, Mr. Cust. I've brought you up a spot of tea.
Oh, it's you, Miss Marbury. That was very thoughtful of you.
Oh, nonsense. You know Mother dotes on you. You're her favorite lodger. In fact, Mr. Cust, you're packing your things. You're not leaving us, are you?
Oh, no. I'm just taking a little trip, over the bank holiday, you know?
Now. Don't try to deceive me, Mr. Cust. You're embarrassed about owing us, aren't you?
No.
You needn't be, Mr. Cust. Really, you needn't be.
You're a nice girl, Miss Marbury. You really are a nice girl. As a matter of fact, I'm not going just on the bank holiday. I've something rather important. Some very important matters to take care of.
Oh,
You know, it's very possible that my mother didn't have me christened Alexander Bonaparte Cust for nothing.
Well, have you got a position, Mr. Cust?
Well...
What is it?
Well, I...
Come, Mr. Cust. You can tell me, can't you?
Well, Miss Lilly, I can tell you this much. I shall be traveling quite a lot.
Oh,
In fact, where did I leave that ABC Railroad guide? Oh, yes, here it is. First stop, Andover.
Andover? That's not very far.
No, but I must be getting on if I don't want to miss that train. Let me see. Have I got everything? Some spectacles, overcoat, typewriter, walking stick. Oh, did I ever tell you the history of this walking stick, Miss Marbury?
No.
It's a Scottish piece, very old.
Ah.
It's so old, it's an antique. You know, they used to kill people with these back in the days of the old clan wars in Scotland. Oh, wonder how many heads this one bashed in. Ooh.
Mr. Cust, oh please, what a terrible way to talk.
Yes, I'm sorry, Miss Marbury. I'm a little bit surprised at myself talking like that. Must be my new job. It's gone to my head a bit. That's it. It's gone to my head. Have you got an aspirin by any chance? I've got an awful...
Here you go. Now hurry before you miss your train.
Yes, gentlemen, what'll it be?
Oh, packet of gold sticks for me.
Yes, sir, and the other gentleman?
3 Havanas, the shilling cigars.
Havanas? Ah, you gentlemen must be up from London.
That's right. Is that your name on the window of the shop by chance?
That's right, sir. Olivia Asher. I've been in business right here in Andover and right here in St Andrew's Place for 20 years.
All A's. Andover, St Andrew's Place, and Asher.
Oh, funny, ain't it? Never so much as crossed my mind before.
Well, Mrs. Asher, we're from Scotland Yard. We have reason to believe there may be a homicidal maniac at large in Andover.
God, blimey.
Now, we don't want to frighten you, Mrs. Asher, but for all we know, this could just be a practical joke. You see, we've received some anonymous letters, and they're typewritten and signed ABC.
ABC?
This murderer, if there's anything to his story, is planning a series of murders. His mania stems from, seems to be centered on the alphabet. He follows his plans, if he follows his plan through, his first murder will be committed in Andover, and the victim will be a person whose name begins with an A.
Oh, the Lord help me, sir. You don't think...
Well, don't think anything. Scotland Yard has taken its precautions.
Oh, a woman takes a terrible chance.
Listen, there's probably nothing to be alarmed about, but it wouldn't hurt to keep a sharp lookout. Now, who's next on our list, Mackenzie?
Next is Arthur Atwood.
All right, well, let's be on our way then. Good day, madam.
But don't worry.
Thank you, sir. And good day to you, sir. Murdering lunatic. In Andover, of all places. Ah, yes, sir. What'll it be for you, sir? Oh, these. Yes. That'll be 1 and 6, sir. I said that'll be 1 and... Oh, no! No! No!
630 newspaper, sensational homicidal maniac in Andover. Alphabet maniac. To strike next in Baxville. Latest on ABC. Get your papers, get the news. 630 newspaper, sensational homicidal maniac in Andover.
Oh, boy, let me have one of those.
Oh yes, standard or news, sir.
Both.
3 shills, sir.
Here you are.
Oh, thank you, sir. 630 newspaper, Andover. Baxville next. Sensational homicidal maniac to strike again.
ABC continues walking down the street amidst the bustle. He is flipping through, reading the newspaper, and isn't paying attention to his surroundings, and then...
Homicidal maniac?
Nasty business, eh, mister?
Yes, very.
You just never know with lunatics. Yeah, they don't always look balmy, you know. Sometimes they look the same as you or me.
Yes, I suppose they do.
Oh, it's a fact. Sometimes it's the war that's unhinged them. They've never been the right sense.
Yes, I expect you're right.
You know, I don't hold with wars. I hope this will be the last of them.
You don't hold with wars. Well, young man, I don't hold with plague and sleeping sickness and famine and cancer, but they happen all the same, and murder happens all the same. They can't prevent them.
I'm sorry, sir. I expect you had a rocky time of it in the last one, eh?
Yes. My poor head's never been the same since. I get terrible headaches.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry about that, sir.
Sometimes I hardly know what I'm doing.
You don't say.
I forget things. You know, for instance, I could have sworn I had an ABC railway guide in my pocket an hour ago.
Do you know, they found one of them ABC railway guides on the poor tobacconist lady that was murdered?
Who?
See, ABC, whoever he is, maybe he don't know himself. Ever stop to think of that? Maybe he's really so balmy, he don't remember.
I wonder.
Train for Waddington, Dorchester, and Bexel.
Bexel? Bexel? Did you say Bexel? That's my train. Goodbye, young man.
Bye.
630 newspaper, sensational homicidal lunatic to strike again. Police tracking typewriter in which murder notes were written to strike at Bexel. Latest on the ABC alphabet murder.
We now see ABC at a neighborhood restaurant in Bexel. It's a little posh and a little everyday. He is perusing the menu when...
May I have your order, sir?
Well, I don't think I'll have ham. I had it for breakfast. So, I think I'll have the mutton pie.
1 mutton pie, yes, sir.
Oh, what's the matter with you? You're trembling, young woman. Is something wrong?
Oh, sir, if you only knew. I have to walk home tonight, after they close up here, and there's hardly a light in Benson Terrace where I live.
Benson Terrace?
Yes,
in
sir.
Bexel?
Yes, sir.
You're afraid of the ABC murder, aren't you?
Follows the alphabet, don't he? That's the way he done in Andover.
Aye. And does your name begin with a B?
Barnard's my name. Mary Barnard.
Oh, dear. Miss Barnard, well, I don't like to appear forward. Well, anyway, I'm old enough to be your father. Would it make you feel easier if I saw you home tonight?
Oh, you don't know, sir. You just don't know what it would mean.
Oh, well. What time do they close up here?
9 o'clock?
All right. I'll wait outside for you. At 9 o'clock?
All right.
Let's catch you up in the event you are just tuning in. Alexander Bonaparte Cust, traveling salesman, seems to be following a homicidal maniac who has just killed Asher in Andover and is now in Bexel and about to usher waitress Barnard home for the evening, as she is scared about the lurking murder in town. Okay, let's see how this goes.
Ladies, waitress brutally murdered in Bexel. ABC strikes again. Here you are, sir. Scotland Yard received third murder note. ABC Media to strike again in Charleston.
So guess where we are headed next? See you there.
Yes, sir?
Third class, single to Churston.
ABC puts away his luggage and then heads for the bar car for something to cool his nerves and or pique his interest. Cheers, Cust. Cheers.
Give me a pint of half and half, please.
Yes, sir. There you are, sir. You up from London?
Yes, come directly from London.
Ah, salesman.
Stockings is my line.
Of going these days, what with rationing, eh?
Yes, but I'm making a go of it, best I can.
Well, let that wet your whistle, and if you let me know if you need another pint, eh, or something stronger.
Well, well, well. If it isn't my old friend, Alexander Bonaparte Cust.
I'm afraid... I'm sorry, I don't remember you.
We met in the library, remember?
Oh!
In London, yes. Had quite
yes.
a talk.
Yes, yes.
Franklin Clark, remember?
Yes, of course. You'll forgive me, Mr. Clark. My memory seems to be getting worse and worse.
A drink, sir?
In a minute. You must have come under better times, Mr. Cust. New briefcase, I see. Nice, bright, new initials.
Well, I got a job shortly after I saw you, Mr. Clark, from Ballinger Limited. Stockings, my old line, you know. But, to tell you the truth, I haven't been doing well.
Oh, those headaches again.
Yes, the headaches. And the murders. The murders have upset me something terrible.
My. Why, you're shaking like a leaf, man.
Oh?
Hey, Joan, is it? A brandy for Mr. Cust. He needs it.
Coming right up. Here you go.
Thank you, sir.
The trouble with you, Cust, is you're inclined to be morbid. I remember that book you were reading the day we met. Stuff about epilepsy.
Well, it might be epilepsy, mightn't it?
What?
Well, when they discharged me from the army before the war ended, you see, I had a kind of a fit, you know?
Never had anything like it again, have you?
No, I didn't have a fit again. Just the headaches. I forget what happens for hours at a time. Do you know, once I was sitting in a station waiting room, and a newsboy came by, and I bought a paper from him. And it was all about the first murder in Andover. It said the police had got another note, another typewritten note, Mr. Clark, and the murderer was going to strike next in Bexel. And suddenly I realized I was in Bexel. And I'd been in Andover the day before, when the first murder happened.
Well, how did you happen to go from Andover to Bexel?
Well, that's the way I'm supposed to go on my route, selling the stockings. I'm supposed to take the towns alphabetically.
Oh. Well, then, it's not so surprising you should have been in Bexel after all, is it? Just a coincidence.
Well, the waitress in Bexel that I walked home with her that night, Mr. Clark, the night she was murdered.
Well, good heavens, Cust! You don't think you killed Mary Barnard, do you?
I don't know, Mr. Clark. It said in that book that people who had epileptic fits often do things and don't remember them. They even commit crimes. I said good night to her, and after that, I don't know what happened.
The notes! Those typewritten notes! Wouldn't you have remembered if you had written them?
I don't know.
Well, I know a little something about psychology myself, Cust, and I'd stake everything I owned on the fact that the man who wrote those notes was conscious of what he was doing.
Do you really think so, Mr. Clark?
Positive of it. Now, pull yourself together, man. Incidentally, my sister-in-law lives here in Chester. My brother is Lord Cameron Clark.
Oh.
And I happen to know she needs some new stockings.
Oh.
Pop over there in the morning, will you, and show the old girl your line.
Huh.
Here's the address. Might cheer you up to make a good sale.
Oh, I'm sure it would, Mr. Clark. I'm sure it would. Well, good night, Mr. Clark. And thank you again for all your kindness, I'm sure, sir.
Good night. Good night! Oh, wait a minute! You've forgotten something again.
Oh, dear me. That's my typewriter. I shall certainly need that.
Oh?
Well, as to write up my report to the Home Office, in case I should make that sale tomorrow.
Oh, of course. Oh, yes, yes! By the way, Cust, better watch out. Somebody in Charleston is going to be murdered tomorrow.
Huh?
Old ABC is up to the letter C, you know? And your name is Cust.
Oh.
Oh, I say! Mine is Clark.
Oh.
Well. Briefcase, typewriter, and we are up to the letter C. First Asher, then Barnard, and next... Interesting. Very, very interesting. Might I have a drink, bartender? Bartender? Bartender, where is that?
Well, thank you again for your generous order, Lady Clark. I hope you'll be pleased. This line of woolen-lined stockings is one of Ballinger's best buys right now, Lady Clark.
My brother-in-law tells me that you've had some unfortunate times, Mr. Cust.
Yes.
But I really did need the stockings, and I shall.
Hello again, Cust.
Oh, hello, sir.
I've been stuffing myself with bacon and eggs. Make your sale, old boy.
Oh, yes, Mr. Clark. Thank you very much.
Good. Louise is filthy with money, and her ladyship's legs are in constant need of recovering.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, sir.
She wanted the stockings.
Well, thank you very much, milady. I hope I shall have the privilege of serving you again next year.
Goodbye, Mr. Cust, and good luck.
Cheerio, Cust.
Such a nice little man, Franklin.
He's a bit off his nut, I'm afraid. Last night, he tried to convince me that he was the ABC murderer. His initials, you know. He has minor lapses of memory.
That little man, a murderer. Oh, really, Franklin?
Good Lord, what was that?
Here on? What's going on?
In the master's bedroom, my lady. You'd better go with her, Mr. Franklin.
Brothers? Whatever are you doing here?
Milady! Lord Clark has been murdered! Stabbed with a knife! He's covered all over in blood!
Oh no!
I came in to bring him his afternoon tea and found him on the floor, knife in the back and all. I can't bear to think of the horror.
Murder! Good heavens! Why, look! Look! There on the floor! A railway guide. An ABC.
Oh, take me out of here, Franklin.
Oh, Louise, I'm sorry you had to see this.
Oh, Cameron. My poor Cameron. He never made an enemy in his life.
The man who did this was a maniac, and I'm afraid I know who he is. He always carried a walking stick with a heavy carved handle. That's how the other murders were committed, with a heavy stick. But he wasn't carrying his stick today. Must have grabbed a knife up there somewhere to kill Cameron with. But when? Were you with him every minute?
Well, I went upstairs to get my checkbook. On the way, I asked if Lord Clark had had his afternoon tea. It took me a little while to find the checkbook.
I was already making the tea and immediately took it upstairs. I was only a few steps behind my lady and found him there.
That gave Cust his opening.
Oh, to think. All that time. Oh, no, I'll never forgive myself, Franklin.
No. None of that now, Louise. The important thing now is to stop him before he can commit another murder.
But what are you going to do, Franklin?
I'm going to the police and see if they'll let me help. Let's have a look at this ABC railway guide he left beside poor Cameron. Look here, all checked. See there? Andover, Bexel, Churston, each with a check mark after it.
Oh,
A calling list.
Now, where's the next one? See? See! London! He's through with ABC. He's gone home. And I'm going after him.
Asher, Barnard, Clark, London? Well, something isn't right with this logic, but let's see where it goes.
Yes? Well, Mr. Cust, come in. Whatever kept you away for so long?
Miss Lilly, I've got to talk to you. Alone.
Oh, well, I'll go up with you. I want to show you the new curtains I put up in your room anyway.
You are a nice girl, Miss Lilly. Really, a nice girl.
Here, let me carry one of these, Mr. Cust, the typewriter.
No. I'll carry my own things, thank you.
Oh, Mr. Cust, you're trembling. Oh dear, you do look a fright.
Yes.
Look, I'm gonna go straight and get you a hot foot bath.
Oh, no, not now, please. Not now, Miss Lilly. There's no time for it.
What is it, Mr. Cust?
Close the door and lock it.
Are you in some trouble, Mr. Cust?
I'm in terrible trouble, Miss Lilly. I want you to hear the story first from me. You're the only one who has been my friend. I've had a lonely life, Miss Lilly.
Oh, poor Mr. Cust.
Poor Mr. Cust. That's what they always say about me. Poor Mr. Cust. I thought you were different.
Now, don't take on so, Mr. Cust. It was only a manner of speaking.
Oh, you needn't worry. I'm all right now. I forget 2 spells in one day.
Spells. Mr. Cust, I don't understand. What do you mean?
You've heard of the ABC murders?
Shocking affairs. But, Mr. Cust, what are you saying?
Miss Lilly, the police will be here at any minute. Please, let me finish. I don't want you to think harshly of me, Miss Lilly. I didn't plan it ahead. My instructions told me where to go. Some people can't help what they do. Their diseases, epilepsy, for instance. You do things you don't remember. You commit crimes, and I'm like that.
Oh, Mr. Cust, I can't believe it.
When I was a child, Miss Lilly, they used to badger me about my name. My mother worshipped strength. She named me after the strongest people she knew in history, Alexander and Bonaparte. But nobody ever called me by those names. They called me ABC. ABC. I used to dream I was boiling in a kettle of alphabet soup. I was a terrible disappointment to my mother.
Mr. Cust, you're unsettled and tired.
You've got to hear me out, Miss Lilly.
Ow, my arm, you're hurting me.
Now listen to me, Miss Lilly. I could have been a hero in the army in the last war. I was happy. I could have made something of myself, and I started getting the headaches.
Let me go, Mr. Cust.
You must hear me out, Miss Lilly. I started forgetting things after they discharged me from the army. Shock, they called it. I used to have dreams.
Oh.
I was a great ruler. The destiny of men was in my hands. I had power over life and death.
Let me go. Please let me go.
First there was Andover, that tobacconist. I can't ever remember what she looked like. Then there was Bexel. I walked home with the waitress from the station restaurant. She was murdered too. In Churston, I sold 12 pairs of stockings to a lady, and while she was upstairs getting a checkbook, her husband was murdered on the floor where I was waiting. And now, I've come back here. Maybe the alphabet charm is over. Or is it? This is London. L. Your name is Lilly.
Are you trying to frighten me, Mr. Cust?
I'm trying to convince you.
You, a murderer. Ha ha. No, I can't believe it. You would never...
What about this? Look at it.
No.
Look closely at it. I found it in my briefcase. When I came on the train, Miss Lilly, this knife murdered a man in Churston just 3 hours ago.
No.
Now, there, Miss Lilly, Miss Marbury. Don't take on so. He's locked up pretty as you please in the next room.
But he was such a nice man. I still can't hardly believe it.
Is this the knife he threatened you with, Miss Marbury?
Yes.
We just got here in the nick of time, eh? Hey, that's a wicked-looking knife.
It's the Churston murder knife, right enough, Mr. Clark. No doubt of it.
Well, let's take inventory. Typewriter.
Checks with the murder notes.
The walking stick.
Name markings is on the heads of the first victims.
And the psychiatrist's report says the murders were premeditated and the notes could not possibly have been written except by a person who was conscious and in his right mind.
Well, that breaks down any idea of Cust may have had of entering an insanity plea.
Right. I think he'll sign the confession without any difficulty. Bring him in.
Bring the prisoner in.
Well, Cust, are you ready to sign your confession?
I don't know, Inspector. A moment ago, I was certain I must have done it, but why? That's what worries me. Why? Mr. Clark, why do you think I did it?
You're wasting valuable time, Cust. I don't care why you did it. You killed my brother, and I want to see you hang for it. I don't care how balmy you are.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself, talking to our Mr. Cust in that bloodthirsty manner. I don't know what's getting into the gentry, I'm sure.
He tried to murder you, didn't he?
Well, he couldn't help himself.
Oh.
Poor thing. He's been terribly upset of late.
You're a nice girl, Miss Lilly. You are a nice girl, really.
The murders were willful and premeditated.
They couldn't have been premeditated, Mr. Clark.
Why do you say that, Cust?
Well, because I didn't go to any of those places of my own choice. I had instructions from Ballinger Limited, and those instructions were sent to me after the police got the warnings of the murders that were printed in the papers.
There were never any such instructions. We ransacked all your things, Cust. There wasn't any letter of instruction, was there, Inspector?
No.
Ah, yes, there was.
All right. We'll ring up Ballinger's. May I use your telephone, Miss Marbury?
Why, certainly, Inspector.
The number is Regent 3313, Inspector.
Ballinger's, are you there? Put me on to personnel. Oh, Mac, start packing those exhibits, will you?
All right, sir.
Crome speaking, Scotland Yard. At what day did you employ a commercial traveler named Alexander Bonaparte Cust? No, Cust. A.B. Cust. Initials ABC. Yes, yes. Never employed by you. You're absolutely certain. Did you send a man to Andover or Bexel last week? Not on your route. Thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
You bad Cust. I guess this knocks out your last ghost of a chance, doesn't it?
No, Mr. Clark, because you see the instructions were in a letter, and that letter is right in this room.
Well, let's have a look. Come on, Mackenzie, give me a hand. Let's go through these things again.
It won't do any good to look there, Mr. Clark. I have the letter. Would you like to see it, Mr. Crome? It's here.
Well, I'll be. Where did you get that?
It wasn't on him, Inspector. I'll swear to that. Where did you have this hidden?
Well, Inspector, it isn't generally known, but I do wear a small hairpiece, not out of vanity, mind you. I find it necessary for the business end.
Oh, let's take a look at that letter.
Gladly.
Dear Mr. Cust, enclosed find advance. Typewriter is being posted today. You will...
What a lot of nonsense, Inspector! Look at the typeface of that letter. It's obviously written on Cust's typewriter.
Yes, that's right, Mr. Clark, and the man who wrote that letter was the murderer. Cool as you like, he sent me the typewriter, and instructions on one of Ballinger's letterheads, and the money, and everything else.
What kind of stunt are you trying to pull here, Cust?
No stunt. It's just that when you made that telephone call, Inspector, and Ballinger said I'd never worked for them, I knew that the typewriter must have been sent to me by the murderer. And the more I thought about it, the more it seemed to me that the murderer must be Mr. Clark.
What? This is too utterly fantastic, Inspector. Really,
the murderer would have had to know something about me. Something I never confided to anyone but to Mr. Clark about my headaches. And I've been reading a book in the public library, Inspector, a book on epilepsy, and it seemed to me that what I suffered during the last war might have been epilepsy, and it was on my mind, see? And it said that epileptics might commit crimes and not remember them under certain conditions. Without that to go on, the murderer couldn't possibly have pinned the crime on me.
That works two ways, Cust. You might have told me that story deliberately, just so you could cook up this story now.
Well, I couldn't cook up your fingerprints, Mr. Clark, and I'll wager anything your fingerprints are on that letter.
Oh, come now, really?
Well, that's easily settled. We can do it right here. Won't take a moment. Take a set of Mr. Clark's fingerprints, Mackenzie. You examine the prints on the letter meantime.
All right, Inspector. Just press your fingers down firmly on this ink pad, Mr. Clark. What is it, Mr. Clark? It's quite simple, really.
Yes! Yes! It's so simple. It isn't even necessary.
Oh, I'm afraid this is necessary, Mr. Clark. It's only a matter of a routine, you know?
I tell you, it isn't necessary because Cust is right. I am the murderer.
You? Wait. You killed your brother, Cameron Clark, so that you would inherit the estates.
Yes, exactly.
But the others, the A and B murders in Andover and Bexel and...
I committed them. All of them.
Yes, but...
Come now, gentlemen. Surely you give me credit for thinking this thing through. If only my brother, Lord Clark, had been murdered, I, being the only heir, would have had a lot of explaining to do. So I invented my own little crime wave to make it appear as though he were just one of the victims of a homicidal maniac. And I must say, it almost came off, thanks to the unknowing cooperation of Mr. Cust here. Thank you just the same, Mr. Cust.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Oh, Mr. Cust, I knew you couldn't be a murderer. Not really.
Oh, you are a nice girl, Miss Lilly. Really, you are a nice girl.
About those headaches, why don't you see an oculist? Those headaches, maybe you just need a new pair of glasses.
I think I'll do that, Miss Lilly. Do you really think I... Of course. I wager that's what's been the trouble with me all along. Glasses.
You know you need someone to take care of you.
Oh, I do, Miss Lilly. I do, really. If only... Oh, no, but you could never think of...
What, Mr. Cust?
Well, I mean, Miss Lilly, I was just thinking it would be really too much to ask anyone. Mrs. Alexander Bonaparte Cust?
But when we are married, please don't wear that toupee. It's very conspicuous.
Oh, you are a nice girl, Miss Lilly. Really, you are. I do hope people won't call you Mrs. ABC.
And so closes the ABC Murders, tonight's tale of suspense. This is your narrator, the woman in black, who conveys to you stories of intrigue and a side of suspense. The producer of these broadcasts is Greenbelt's Art Center, with Rikki Howie as director. Thank you for watching the Greenbelt Art Center radio performance of Suspense, the ABC Murders. Your cast is Mel Gilpin, Librarian, Mary B, Lady, Jackie Youm, Clark, Michael Wong, ABC, Carly Brownstein, Miss Lilly, Alan Brownstein, Inspector and Man, Pamela Northrup, Asher, Butler and Bar, Paul Jordan, Mac, Felicity, Misse-Ekwa, News, Miriam, Lemus, Train and Maid, and I am Amanda Jones, your announcer and woman in black. Thank you for watching.